प्रेम रम्य रूप वेश सद्गुणालि मंडिता विश्वनव्य गोपयोषी तालितो बियादिका मह्यमात्मपाद पद्मदास्य दास्तुरादिका मह्यमात्मपाद पद्मदास्य दास्तुरादिका दास्य दास्तुरादिका नित्य नव्य रूप केली कृष्ण भाव संपदा कृष्ण राग बंध गोप यौवदेषु कंभदा कृष्ण रूप वेश केली लग्न सत्म समाधिका मह्यमात्मपाद पद्मदास्य दास्तुरादिका मह्यमात्मपाद पद्मदास्य दास्तुरादिका दास्य दास्तुरादिका श्वेतकम्बकण्डकाश्रु गद्गदादि संचिता मर्षहर्ष वामदादि भावभूषणाञ्चिता कृष्ण नेत्र दोषिरत्न मंडनालिदादिका मह्यमात्मपाद पद्मदास्य दास्तुरादिका मह्यमात्मपाद पद्मदास्य दास्तुरादिका दास्य दास्तुरादिका याक्षणार्थ कृष्ण विप्रयोग संतदोदिता नेकदैन्य चापलादि भाववृन्द मोदिता यत्न लब्ध कृष्ण संग निर्गदागिलादिका मह्यमात्मपाद पद्मदास्य दास्तुरादिका मह्यमात्मपाद पद्मदास्य दास्तुरादिका दास्य दास्तुरादिका अष्टकेन यत्स्नवेन नौदि कृष्ण वल्लभा दर्शनेभि शैलजादि योषितालि दुर्लभा कृष्ण संकनन्दतात्म दास्य सीदुभाचना तं करोति नन्दतालि संचयासु साजनं दास्य धास्तुरादिका दास्य धास्तुरादिका हरे कृष्णा
हरि बोल माताजी, wonderful माताजी.
I just tried Mataji. Just last 2 days
Very difficult to sing. Thank you so much Mataji.
Thank you Mataji.
I don't know who the speaker is today, so Mataji has made
Mataji,
me the host.
Mataji,
Meenakshi Mataji is there.
Mataji, you can continue with Hare Krishna Mahamantra chanting for 5 minutes till Medhavani Mataji logs in, Mataji.
Okay, chanting or Kirtan Mataji? Kirtan, no?
Yeah, anyways, Mataji.
Kirtan, anybody
Because
can
it's
start
live.
Kirtan.
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Hare Krishna. Any Matajis or Prabhujis can start Kirtan. Hare Krishna Mahamantra Kirtan.
Hare Krishna Mataji. I will start. Shall I do
Yes,
Mataji?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes,
Yes,
Mataji.
Mataji, please.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you very much. We welcome Medhavani Mataji. Hare Krishna, over to you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Dandat pranams to all the devotees. Thank you all for joining in for the Shrimad Bhagvatam session this morning. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravana Tari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jaya Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Jaya Jaya Sudarshan Jaya Bala Gopal, Jaya Bala Gopal, Bala Gopal, Jaya Bala Gopal, Jaya Radha Madhav, Jaya Radha Madhav, Radha Madhav, Jai Shri Radha Madhav, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Gora Hari Bol, Gora Hari Bol, Gora Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskrityam naranchaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki krishnaya vasudevaya devaki nandanaya cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Namo Pankajanaಭaya Namo Pankajamaline Namo Pankajanetraya Namaste Pankajangraye Pahi Pahi Mahayogin Deva Deva Jagatpate Nanyam Dvadabhayam Pashe Yatra Mrityu Parasparam Krishna Krishna Mahabaho Bhaktanam Abhayankara Tvameko Dhayyamananam Apavargosi Samshrute Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshotarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Taralaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yatrapadam Hammande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat Hare Krishna. So then with pranams to all the devotees. Thank you all again for joining in for the Shrimad Bhagavatam session. So before we start, we let us recapitulate what we heard from His Grace Advaita Chandra Prabhu yesterday. Very important. We understood the three levels of realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vadanti tattva vidas tattvam yajnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabdyate. Wherein we heard that this Brahman effulgence is also from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the second realization is the Paramatma realization. And Paramatma realization is the second level, the next level of understanding of the Supreme Lord. However, Bhagavan, the Purna Purushottam Bhagavan, Shri Krishna, the understanding of Lord Krishna in his Shama Sundara form, that is the ultimate complete realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we saw wonderful pastimes from Chaitanya Charitamrita, how Sarva Bhattacharya and all those devotees, they had this personal association with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And we also described how this understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead can be obtained simply by chanting with feeling the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And not to forget, we are on 19th of September today. And 4 days from today is the most auspicious Shri Shri Radhashtami Mahamahotsav. Shri Shri Radhashtami Mahamahotsav ki jai. It is indeed by the mercy of Srimati Radha Rani that we can actually understand this Bhagavan aspect of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And when we understand the Bhagavan aspect, what do? We render service to that Supreme Personality of Godhead, who's full of knowledge, wealth, riches, fame, renunciation, and beauty. So with this in mind, let us continue with the verses. Today we will start with verse number 23 and move on till verse number 27 of this chapter. So I will request devotees to raise your hands and then we can recite the shlokas. Text number 23. Okay, who can do? Okay, I think Prashanti Mataji, please go ahead. Buddhim chasya vinir
Buddhim chasya vinir
Vagisho dishnyama vishat
Vagishno dishnema vishat
bodhenam shena bodhavyam
Bodhenam shena bodhavyam
Pratipattir yatho bhaved.
Pratipattir yato bhave. Thank you, Mataji.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
So,
Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat pranam. Meenakshi Mataji, you can go ahead. Please read the synonyms.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Synonyms, Mataji?
Yeah, synonyms. Word to word meaning. Vaishla Prabhupada.
Okay. Buddhi, intelligence. Cha also, Asya, of the gigantic form. Mini Bhinnam, being separately manifested. Vakishaha, Brahma, Lord of the Vedas. Dishnyam, the controlling power. Avisha, entered in. Bodhena Amsena, with his part of intelligence. Bodhavyam, the matter of understanding. Pratipatihi, understood. Yataha, by which Bhavet, so becomes. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. So next devotee can read the translation.
Hare Krishna, may I read, Mataji?
Yes.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. When the intelligence of the gigantic form separately became manifest, Brahma, the Lord of the Vedas, entered into it with the partial power of understanding, and thus on subject of understanding is experienced by the living entities. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. So we'll read all the verses, the translation and the purport, and then we'll try to understand from a holistic perspective what is being covered in these verses. Okay, text number 24. Who wants to read?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Can I read?
Yes. Hridayam chasya nirvinnam
Chandramadishtyama vishyat Manasamshena yon asau vikrayam pratipadyati. Sorry, Mataji. You can. Sorry,
No,
Mataji,
no, Prabhu, that's fine. That's fine. So can the next devotee read the synonyms? The word to word translation. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat pranam, Mataji. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. After that, the heart of the gigantic form separately manifested itself, and into it entered the moon demigod with partial mental activity. Thus, the living entity can conduct his mental
Mataji, you need to read the synonyms, word to word meaning.
Oh, sorry, Mataji. Hridayam, heart, cha also, asya, the gigantic form, nirbhinnam, being manifested separately, Chandrama, the moon demigod, Dishnyam, with controlling power, Avishat, entered into Manasa Amshena, Manasa Amshena, partly with mental activity, Yena, by which Asau, the living entity, Vikriyam, resolution, Pratipadyate, transacts. Thank you, Mataji. Dandavat pranam.
Thank you. Someone else can read the translation.
Can I read, Mataji? Hare Krishna.
Yes.
After that, the heart of the gigantic form separately manifested itself, and into it entered the moon demigod with partial mental activity. Thus, the living entity can conduct his mental speculations. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Text number 25. Atmanam chasya nirvinnam. Yeah, please read.
Atmanam chasya nirvinnam.
Abhimano vishat padam.
Abhimano Vishatpadam.
Abhimano Abhishatpadam.
Abhimano Avishatpadam.
Karmanam Shena Yenasau.
Karmanam Tena Yenasho.
Kartavyam Pratipadyate.
Kartavyam Pratipadyate. Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams. Okay, someone else can read the synonyms, word to word meanings.
Hare Krishna Mataji, shall I?
Yes.
Prabhupada ki jai. Atmanam, false ego. Cha also, asya of the gigantic form. Nirbhinnam, being separately manifested. Abhimana, false identification. Avisat, entered. Padam, in position. Karmana, activities. Amsena, by the part. Yena, by which. Asau, the living entity. Kartavyam, objective activities. Pratipadyate, takes in. Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you.
Thank you. Can the next person read the translation? Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anyone wants to read?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. Go
By
ahead.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thereafter, the materialistic ego of the gigantic form separately manifested itself, and into it entered Rudra, the controller of false ego, with his own partial activities, by which the living entity transacts his objective actions. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Someone else can read the purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Sudha Mataji can read.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Purport by
Hare
Divine
Krishna.
Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The false ego of materialistic identity is controlled by the demigod Rudra, an incarnation of Lord Shiva. Rudra is the incarnation of the Supreme Lord who controls the mode of ignorance within material nature. The activities of the false ego are based on the objective of the body and mind. Most persons conducted by the false ego are controlled by Lord Shiva. When one reaches a finer version of ignorance, he falsely thinks of himself as the Supreme Lord. That egoistic conviction of the conditioned soul is the last snare of the illusory energy which controls the entire material world. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. So someone can read text number 26. Sattvam chasya vinirbinnam.
May Mataji.
Yes, go ahead, Prabhu.
Sattvam tasya vanirbinnam.
Mahan Dishnyam Upavishat.
Mahan Rishnam Upavishat.
Chittenam Shena Yenasau.
Chittanim Shena Yenasau.
Vijnanam Pratipadyate.
Vijnanam Pratipadyate. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Thank you. Someone else can read synonyms?
Hare Krishna
Okay, I'll read.
Mataji.
Yes, Mataji, go ahead. Shobha Mataji.
Dandavat Pranam Mataji. Synonyms with Vedanta Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sattvam consciousness, cha also Asya of the gigantic form.
Asya, not Asya, Asya.
Asya of the gigantic form. Vinir being separated.
Being separately
manifested. Mahan, the total energy, Mahat Tattvam, Dishyam, with control, Upavishat, entered into, Chitena Amchena, along with his part of consciousness, Ena, by which also the living entity, Vijnanam, specific knowledge, Pratipadyate, cultivates. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Mataji.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Anyone else wants to read the translation?
Hare
Those who
Krishna
have not read.
Hare Krishna
Yes,
Mataji.
Mataji.
I will read Mataji. Dandavat Pranam Mataji.
Dandavat.
Translation Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thereafter, when his consciousness separately manifested itself, the total energy, Mahat Tattva, entered with his conscious part. Thus, the living entity is able to conceive specific knowledge. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Thank you. Text number 27. Shishno asya jaur darapadvyam.
Shishno shatyanur darapadnyam.
Kamna bhed udapadyata.
Kamna bher udapadyata.
Gunanam vrittayo yesho.
Gunanam vrittaye yesho.
Pratiyante suradayah.
Pratiyante suradayah. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else wants to read the synonyms? Word to word meanings? It's not read before.
Can read, Prabhu. Kirti
Okay,
Mataji,
Shir
you can read.
Shah.
Yes, can I read, Mataji? Thank you. Hare
Yes,
Krishna.
please. Thank you.
Shirshnaha, head, Asya, of the gigantic form, Dhyayuhu, the heavenly planets, Dhara, earthly planets, Padbhyam, on his legs, Kham, the sky, Nabehe, from the abdomen, Upapadyata, became manifested.
Udapadyata. Udaya means what? It comes into being, right? Became manifested. Udapadyata.
Yes, Mataji. Udapadyata became manifested, Gunanam, of the three modes of nature, Vrittayaha, reactions, Yeshu, in which, Pratiyante, manifest, Sura Adayaha, the demigods and others. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Anyone wants to read the translation?
Shall I,
Translation
Mataji?
This is the last translation. Whoever wants to read.
Mataji, shall I, Mataji?
Yes, Karpavali Mataji, go ahead.
Yes, Mataji. Thereafter, translation by Prabhupada ki jai. Thereafter, from the head of the gigantic form, the heavenly planets were manifested, and from his legs, the earthly planets, and from his abdomen, the sky separately manifested themselves. Within them, the demigods and others also were manifested in terms of the modes of material nature. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
so these, thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. So these verses 23 to 27, it further describes the universal form. So we heard yesterday, right, from His Grace Advaita Chandra Prabhu, that the universal form by itself is not an eternal form, right? We also saw in Bhagavad Gita how Krishna is describing, is showing the universal form to Arjuna. And special jnana drishti is required for Arjuna to see this form of Krishna, right? Everyone could see the two-handed form of Krishna as Shama Sundar, but even Arjuna, who is a pure devotee of the Lord, could not see this this universal form of Krishna without that chakshusha, the special chakshusha. Why is it? In the purport to the Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada explains, right? Because Arjuna is related to Krishna in the Sakya Ras, right? Krishna manifests according to the desire or the rasa that a particular devotee has with him. So even Duryodhana saw Krishna, but he could not relate to Krishna because he was not a devotee, because he was envious of Krishna, because he was not willing to follow the instructions of Krishna. So all those saying, he was not able to see anything actually. And Arjuna, who always saw Krishna as his Sakha, after seeing the universal form, he was saying, oh Krishna, I have addressed you as, Madhava, Keshava, and I've sat with you, I've sat on the same level with you, I have eaten food with you, I have lied down and slept with you. Oh my Lord, please forgive me for all of that. Right, I've taken you as a friend and done it. And then Krishna is saying, because you wanted to see this form, that is why I'm showing you this form, right? And Prabhupada beautifully mentions in the purport how a devotee is not interested in seeing this universal form of the Lord, right? And then why did Arjuna want to see this form of the Lord? This is only to prevent in future people don't claim themselves to be God, right? Some yogi siddhis, when people get these yoga siddhis, they're able to generate some kind of powder, vibhuti, coins, etc. They give everybody those coins and vibhuti and all, and then they say that I am God. So in future, Prabhupada mentions in that purport, in future, whenever somebody declares themselves to be God, that time we can ask them to show their Vishwarupa. Because nobody, whatever siddhi, like anima, lagima, becoming smaller than the smallest, bigger than the biggest, etc. They can also, I would request devotees kindly, the host and the co-host to manage this, muting the devotees. Unless you want to read or share anything, I request you all to be on mute. So what was I saying? So I was saying that, what was I saying? Yeah. So the devotee.
You won't be able to get the universal form.
Yeah. So as devotees, we don't want to see the universal form of the Lord. Because what is the fun in actually seeing all the demigods, all the demons getting killed by the Lord, all the material manifestation created? Of course, this is a form of the Lord, but this is not an eternal form of the Lord. Why? Because we cannot serve the Lord in this form. It is so bewildering. It is so, even Arjuna found it, Arjuna paid obeisance and he's saying, I cannot recognize you, my Lord. This form is so frightening. I don't want to see this form of you. So that is why devotees do not aspire to see the universal form of the Lord. And then Prabhupada very clearly mentions, like we discussed, it is only to prevent future avatars of the Lord. Because in Kali Yuga especially, we have, in every street, we have some avatar of the Lord who is giving some powder or some siddhis. And yeah, I was saying that, even these mystic yogis, they can only expand up to 8 or 16 forms like that. But we remember this past time where Narada goes to Dwaraka, where Krishna has married 16,108 queens. And then, 108 of them were, the 100 of those were, sorry, 16,100 were those abducted by Narakasura. Right? And Krishna accepted them just because, in those days, at least, if you've been held captive if you've been held captive in some place, then what happens, under the supervision or under the captivity of another paraya mard or something like that, right? You are considered to be polluted. You are considered, and nobody will want to marry you. We also see this in Mahabharata, where Amba is actually captured by Bhishma for Vichitra Virya. And what happens? Amba tells, I've already given my heart to another king, so I will not, so I want to go back. And then when she, Bhishma Pitama says, okay, fine, because he already captures Amba, Ambika, and Ambalika. So he says, okay, you can go back because you are in love with someone else. When she goes back, this king, this is an ordinary living entity, right? So this king is saying, since you've been touched and abducted by Bhishma Pitamaha, I will not be able to accept you. So ordinary living entities also, they see that, this was in Dwapara Yuga. So they were saying that, any maiden who's been touched by another person is not pure enough for me to accept her as my wife. So in that scenario, we can see that these 16,000 queens were actually abducted. 16,100 queens were abducted by Narakasura and kept captive for a long time. So when they were actually protected by Krishna, then what happened? Krishna accepted them as his own wife. And not only that, Krishna actually gave them, each one of those queens, so many palaces. And when Narada Muni went and saw in Dwaraka, each of those queens are actually engaging with Krishna in different ways. Krishna is personally present with all the 16,000 queens, 16,108. This 8 are the principal queens, right? We have Kalindi, Rukmini, Satyabhama, and all those principal queens. Krishna is engaged in various loving pastimes with all of the 16,108 queens. And everywhere, somewhere he's playing with his sons, he's talking to the queens, he's administering justice in the, in the sabha. So like this, Krishna is engaged in, has expanded himself into 16,108 forms. That is why even those of the mystic siddhis who have this anima, lagima, and all that, they can also not expand to this extent. So that is why we say that Krishna is Yatra Yogeshwara Krishno, Yatra Partho Dhanurdharaha. That's what Sanjaya says at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, the last verse. Because he is Yoga Ishwaraha, right? Many people may develop a lot of siddhis. They may expand into 8 forms, 16 forms. They may give powders, they may give coins, they may disappear, right? Even in Prabhupada's pastime, we see this Falgu Baba. Right? He just gets into fire and then he disappears. And Bhakti Vinod Thakur went there. And all of them accepted, Falgu Bhagavan, right? Like that they used to call him. But he used to get into fire, disappear, come out from some other place. And then everybody was like, this is Bhagavan. But Bhakti Vinod Thakur just brought a Bhagavatam book, sat there and recited the prayers. And it was found that this Falgu Baba's power was in his hair. When his hair was cut and put into the fire, he lost all his powers, and that was the end of Falgu Bhagavan, isn't it? So in this way, when people, because they have got some kind of siddhis, because of the following the Vedic scriptures, right? They perform the meditation, they perform the Ashtanga Yoga, etc., following the Vedic scriptures only, right? But they should understand what is the goal of the Vedic scriptures, right? Krishna says, Vedaischa sarver aham eva vedyo, Vedanta krit veda videva chaham. So when somebody gets diverted, right, even as devotees, we also get lot of abilities, right? The ability to speak, the ability to understand the purports of the Bhagavad Gita, the ability to be able to present it to the audience, the ability to distribute Srila Prabhupada's books, right? So we have these siddhis, right? These are not common. We know how we were before we came to Krishna consciousness. What was our ability and what is our ability right now? So when we get these talents, these skills by the mercy of Guru and Gauranga, because we've accepted this process, we will get a lot of name, fame, glory to be able to perform certain things in a very nice way. But we should not get diverted to all of this, right? That is what the yogis do. And Prabhupada mentions in the purport to one of the verses in Bhagavad Gita that a karma yoga, an Ashtanga yogi is one who's realized all these siddhis, but he stays there, right? Whereas even an Ashtanga yogi who practices Ashtanga yoga, who attains the level of Brahman, who understands that the effulgence, right, who becomes a Brahmavadi, even if he wants, he can hear to the pastimes of Krishna and attain the realization of Bhagavan. So even as practicing devotees, sometimes we get very bewildered, right? When we get certain, siddhis or certain name, fame, glory, etc. We also restrict ourselves, our understanding to Krishna in the form of, being an all-powerful personality who's just helping us. And Prabhupada actually spoke in, Prabhupada spoke in one of these purports only, what we read today. That the South Indians, when we see, most of them are very, very religious. Very religiously they worship. Like today, many of us are, some of us celebrated yesterday and some of us are celebrating today, right? Ganesha, right? They all perform their ritualistic ceremonies to Ganesha. And yesterday Prabhu also was mentioning what is our mood and consciousness when we worship Ganesha, right? Ganesha is deriving his powers from the Supreme Lord Vishnu. Right? So when we are performing all of these worship, especially South Indians, very consistent, very devoted, very consistent in their worship, but they miss the point most of the times, right? Most of the Mayavadis that we find are in South India, right? They follow the Shankara philosophy, but Prabhupada calls it the last snare of Maya, right? What is the last snare of Maya? Prabhupada says the last snare of Maya is by performing all of these devotion, not devotion, I would say the religious practices. They become so powerful that they think I can become God. And yesterday Prabhu was mentioning, right, when there's one person, right, he was so much advanced because he had so much of powers because of performing all these ritualistic ceremonies. He himself believed that I am God. And then and then he wanted to go to the toilet, right? Yesterday Prabhu was discussing, he wanted to go to the toilet, and then he said, oh, I have to go urgent, I have to go to the toilet. And this person is saying, you're God, isn't it? You should be able to control all situations. So why do you want to go to the toilet? Accept that you're not God, and then we can talk anything else later. He said, oh, I'm not God, I'm not God, right? So that is the situation of those who are engaged in so much of religious practices. They get so much of siddhis, they get so much of power that they themselves get bewildered. One becomes mad, right? Well, what happens to those people who are in the mental hospital? They don't realize their true identity. And that is true of all of us in this material world, because we think we are the controllers, we think we are the enjoyers, we think we can control all the situations. And when dragged to a situation where we are completely helpless, that time we surrender. Oh Krishna, you help me. I am totally lost now. Isn't it? That is why Kunti Maharani, who is a pure devotee of the Lord, what does she pray? Right? Vipadam tat shashvat, right? Or let these miseries come to me again and again and again. Right? I'm not saying that as devotees we should be praying for such kind of such kind of vipadam or troubles, but we should understand that in this world, padam padam yad vipadam natesham, the Lord shows his universal form. The Lord comes in various avatars to tell us that I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Don't get bewildered by all these people who have acquired some siddhis, because when pushed to the corner at the time of death, everything gets revealed. Right? Everything gets revealed at the time of death. How much can we act? We cannot act for too long, right? So all of our real consciousness, right, comes at the time of death. I just want to relate one story that thought came to me right now. There was one person in Akbar Birbal's, one of the stories, because I thought it is relevant. We'll mention that. There was one scholar who came and challenged in Akbar's court, what is my mother tongue? He could speak so many languages, Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, Hindi, Kannada, and all the languages he could speak. And anybody asked him a question, he would answer in that particular question and that particular language. Nobody could find his mother tongue. And then, Birbal is summoned, right? Always everybody fails and they call Birbal. Right? When they called Birbal, Birbal said, I will find out what is this language, what is this actual language, right? And then Birbal sent one person in the night and that person is sleeping, right? And then this person actually pinched him in his sleep. And then he said, Amma, Amma, like that. That time they understood that this particular person's mother tongue is Tamil. Right? So when one is unconscious, when one is not in the live, when one is not properly awakened, or one is not prepared, that time one actually talks his mother tongue. Like that, Birbal found out this person's mother tongue is Tamil. I don't know whether language is Tamil or not, but this is the principle, right? Similarly, in the time of death, we are unconscious because our kapha, vata, pitta, they are all kind of muffled and nothing is working properly. Our mind is not working. And then what happens? At that time, our true colors will come out. Until that time, we can act. Oh, I'm a pure devotee of the Lord. I'm chanting Hare Krishna. I know so many Vedic scriptures. I can quote verses from Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. But then our true color comes at the time of death. That is why Krishna says, Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajati anta kalevaram tam tam evaiti kaunteya sadatad bhava bhavitaha. Whatever we think at the time of death, that state of consciousness we will attain with our next body, right? According to the desires that we've developed, there is a flashback that actually happens, right? We were talking about Mayavadis, right? Where Prabhupada is mentioning here, Mayavadi is aparadi. Yesterday Prabhu also was mentioning, right? Aparadi, why? Because Mayavadis think that when Krishna appears in this world, Krishna is also subject to Maya. Right? Only fools can believe this, right? Because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Daivi hayesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mam eva ye prapadyante maya metam tarantite. Right? Krishna is saying my energy, which is Maya, is very, very powerful. But how can you get over it? You can get over the Maya Shakti of the Lord by surrendering unto me. So only fools will derive, right? What is that? Only fools deride me when I appear in this material world, right? Some of the verse is skipping my head, right? Only fools can deride the Lord. Why? Because the Lord has shown so many leelas, right? Where is the Sahajiras and all those people?
Naham prakasha sarvasya. Naham prakasha sarvasya, Mataji.
Yeah, so that also that talks about the Yoga Maya actually covering the potency. Okay, I was thinking of different words. Okay, fine, no problem. But you got the point, right? So, Avajananti ma mudha. Yeah, that is a verse. Avajananti ma mudha manushim tanumashritam. Right? When I incarnate as a human being, only fools will think that I am an ordinary person, right? Because Krishna did that Govardhan Leela, the Krishna picked up the Govardhan hill and stood like that for 7 days, right? The devotees enjoy such Leelas. Whereas common men, they enjoy this, they seeing this universal form, this Bhayangara form of the Supreme Lord. Because that only gives them to understand the greatness of the Lord. right? So Mayavadis, what do they think, right? I am doing all of these ritualistic things, and the most, why is it the most dangerous thing? Why? Because they will be born in the family of Brahmanas. They will be born in the family of Brahmanas. They will be continuing to do these ritualistic practices life after life. They will be doing this, but they will be thinking that, okay, some point of time I will become God. That is so dangerous. Why? Because there is no hope for liberation until somebody, some devotee, right, offers them some Krishna Prasadam, calls them for some program, and they also give up these misconceptions, right? It is easy to write on a clean slate, but when the slate is already filled with nonsense, very, very difficult to write, even for the person to clear off his misconceptions and to understand with a clean slate are very, very difficult. That is why even South Indian so-called Brahmins, right, so-called very, very high religious scholars who may study Bhagavad Gita every day, it is very, very difficult for them, right? Because life after life, they will be doing these religious practices. But Brahmande Brahmite Kona Bhagyavana Jiva Guru Krishna Prasade Paya Bhakti Lata Bija, right? Only with the mercy of Guru and Krishna, this Bhakti Lata Bija is planted. And when that Bhakti Lata Bija is planted in the heart also, very, very few actually take up this watering process of chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And even those who chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, their ultimate goal could be to become one with God, right? So many things are there. That is why Tad Vidhi Pranipatena Pariprashnena Sevaya Upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. The Lord, when He is showing this universal form, He is showing this universal form to tell us, I am great, right? Mamaivamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatanaha. Right? You are suffering. Why? Manashastan indriyani prakriti stani karshati. Right? I am the Supreme Lord. I am telling you what to do. But what are you doing? You are suffering with your mind and the intelligence and the senses. Why? Because you are speculating. Very, very clearly, I am giving you 4 instructions. I am repeating it twice. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, chapter 18, 4 instructions I am giving you. Just simply do this. But you don't want to listen to me. You want to engage your mind in various speculations. You want to attain Brahman. You want to become God. And all of this, you are creating problems for yourself. Krishna gives 4 instructions, repeats the 4 instructions. And simply by understanding this, you will come back to me. What are those 4 instructions? Man mana bhava mad bhakto mad yaji mam namaskuru. Only 4 instructions. Krishna is giving twice, right? Krishna is thinking, oh, after the 9th chapter, the later on I have explained Jnana Kand, I have explained what is material nature, I have explained, the 5 causes for accomplishment of action, I have explained the 3 doers, I have explained all of these things, right? Kshetra, Kshetrajna, right? Everything I have explained. Oh, maybe, the reader might be bewildered. So let me tell again the last in the 18th chapter. Again, he says, Man mana bhava mad bhakto. This he tells after sarvadharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam braja aham tumam sarva papebhyo mokshishamashisha. Surrender unto me. How? By man mana bhava mad bhakto mad yaji mam namaskuru. Always think of me. Man mana bhava mad bhakto, become my devotee. Man mana bhava mad bhakto mad yaji, worship me. Mam namaskuru, offer obeisances to me. Right? That is the best way. As much as we offer our obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to the devotees of the Lord, knowing well Paramatma is there in every living entity, especially so to our gurus and the senior Vaishnavas, the more we offer pranams, the more we will develop humility in our heart. The more we develop humility in our heart, we will be able to do tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. Until such time, we will be challenging like the Mayavadis. Oh, why Krishna is only God? Why can I not become God? Right? Entirely Bhagavad Gita, 700 slokas, ratta, in the head. The false ego is there. And here, Prabhupada also talks about how when there's so much increase of false ego, the highest level of false ego is to think oneself equal to the Lord, is to think oneself that I can become God. And who takes care of all these devotees, all these Mayavadis, and all these people who are so-called elevated scholars of the study of the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, who can quote verses? Lord Shiva has taken in charge of all of them. Very, it is ironic to say that Lord Shiva is in charge of the mode of ignorance, and he is taking care of these Mayavadis who are supposed to be jnanis in the material world. When you go and when you see these people, they are so much worshipped as being embodiment of knowledge, because they can quote verses from Bhagavad Gita, they can quote verses from Bhagavatam, right? They can quote verses from various scriptures. But unfortunately, they don't know the purport. Vedaischa sarver ahameva vedyo. That is a big cross mark there. And that is why, although being very, materially intelligent, although being well versed in the scriptures, they are considered in the mode of ignorance. That is why Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu, the greatest of the Vaishnavas, Lord Shiva, incarnated as Shankaracharya, bewildered them. But ultimately, what did Shankaracharya say? Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudhamade. Oh fools, right? You think you're all very intelligent people. Unless you serve, worship Govinda, you'll all be circling in this Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, doing all of these religious performances, yajnas, chanting of mantras, all shrama eva hi kevalam, useless endeavor. Samprapte sannihite kale nahi rakshati dukrin karane bhajako. Samprapte sannihite kale nahi rakshati. There is no protection in this material world unless you surrender to Govinda, right? Render service to Govinda. That is why he's called Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu. He's called Ashutosh, right? He is having so much of karuna that even when he came to bewilder all those people who want to become gods, right? One of you mentioned that verse where Yoga Maya actually covers the vision of those people who want to become God, isn't it? Similarly, Lord Shiva also wanted to, re-establish all these wrong doctrines in the mind of the Mayavadis, but yet, because he is merciful, because he is Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu, the greatest of all the Vaishnavas, he was embodiment of Karuna. So final instruction, what did he give? He himself wrote, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Mudhamate. Yet fools deride when I come. Unless we develop the humility. How do we develop humility? Pranama, offer obeisances, right? I was hearing His Grace Amarendra Prabhu's class. He was mentioning between Nama and Pranama, right? Nama is the Yuga Dharma for the age of Kali, right? Harer Nama, Maiva Kevalam, Kalo Nastyeva, Gati Ranyata. Right? People who are chanting Hare Krishna also, they don't have they have a wrong misconception. They have a misconception that by chanting Hare Krishna, I can become Krishna. And then everything is futile. Our chanting of Hare Krishna also becomes futile. But not, I wouldn't say futile, because the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra will in itself purify. But how many lifetimes after that, millions of lifetimes do we want to spend in doing all these ritualistic activities, chanting Hare Krishna with the intention to become Krishna? And then, so much of suffering we are undergoing in this material world. Are we enjoying in this material world? Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, Dukkha, Doshanu, Darshanam. So-called intelligent people suffering so much, right? Suffering so much. Yet they are continuing in the bodies of Brahmanas, life after life after life, not understanding the real purport. That is why more than Nama is Pranama. Why? Because when we offer pranams, what do? Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. We are chanting the mantra along with the pranam. The Nama is always chanted along with pranam. But what is the additional advantage? We will develop humility. The more we are able to offer obeisances. Today, when we are able to, our body is physically fit to offer obeisances. We should offer obeisances at least 3 times a day. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado. Yasya prasadadan nagati kutobi. Dhyayanstuvam stasya yashastri sandhyam. Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam. Dhyayanstuvam stasya yashastri sandhyam. At least 3 times we have to offer obeisances to the Lord, to our spiritual master. Right? Some of us may question, right? The Shankaracharya, his lineage, they are also good. They are also have their lines of gurus, right? But why then do they have a guru and yet they are not able to understand, right? What is their intention, right? If I want to become Krishna and I go to a guru who is falsely claiming I can make you Krishna, then we will be continually bewildered, right? I will end with this one beautiful pastime of a devotee of Lord Shiva. Right? This devotee of Lord Shiva was praying to Lord Shiva, oh Lord Shiva, give me what you think is best. Right? Most of us, right? Even before I came into Krishna consciousness, when we are worshipping Lord Shiva or Ganesha, what are we asking? Oh, give me 100 marks in mathematics. Oh, I should get first rank in the class. Right? When I was in 5th standard, 6th standard, 7th standard. That is what we worship. And then we have to worship Lord Shiva because we are higher, right? And then we have to worship. Why? What is the logic? No, we have to do it, right? Because we cannot understand, right? It is beyond our understanding. Just do what we are told, right? But that is why we have developed this mentality to worship the demigods for some fruitive results. That is where we go wrong. Otherwise, there is no harm in worshipping the demigods, right? With the right understanding, we can worship Ganesha, we can worship Lord Shiva. So this example is going to prove that point, right? That we can worship. Even the gopis worship Katyayani Devi. Are they wrong in their worship? No, their worship was accepted by Lord Shiva because they worshipped Katyayani Devi to get Lord Krishna as their husband, to get the opportunity to serve Lord Krishna. You can worship any devotee, right? Because a devotee will give us Krishna. Aradhanam api sarvesham Vishnur aradhanam param tasmat paradaram devi tadiyanam samarchanam. Worshipping a devotee of the Lord is even more better than worship of the Lord. But what is the mood in which we are worshipping the devotee of the Lord? Are we worshipping the devotee of the Lord to get material benefits? Then we will get just that, right? Through Maharaj, that is why it is said, Akama Sarva Kamo, especially in this stage of life, when we have so many material desires, we should not be worshipping the demigods. The gopis, they worship the demigods, the Katyayani Devi, because they were already pure devotees of the Lord. And it is easy to please the devotees of the Lord. So they worship the devotee of the Lord to get audience of the Supreme Lord, to get an opportunity to serve the Lord. But today, when my heart is filled with so many material desires, whom should I worship? Yajeta Purusham Param, Akama Sarva Kamova, Moksha Kama Udharati, Tivrena Bhakti Yogena Yajeta Purusham Param. When I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is Shama Sundara, Krishna, then what happens? All of my material desires will be removed. I am not going into Dhruva Maharaj's pastime because we all know the pastime of Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva versus Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu worshipped Brahma, and Brahma and Lord Vishnu came, fulfilled all the conditions of Brahmaji and killed Hiranyakashipu. Dhruva also had a lot of desires. Dhruva worshipped under the guidance of Narada Muni. Now he worshipped, Vasudev's son, Vasudeva, right? And then he got the darshan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? He actually placed a conch on his head. All his material desires were vanished, and all of his material desires were fulfilled also by the Lord. So finally, let's come to the last, most important pastime. This actually happened, right? This is the most important pastime which tells us what is our motive when we are even praying to the demigods. Krishna has very clearly told, indirect worship is not recommended. Directly worship me, whether you have desires, whether you don't have any desires. But still, if you are attached, right? Last time also many devotees also were questioning, I don't want to give up the worship of Lord Shiva. I don't want to give up the worship of Lord Ganesha because I've worshipped them for so long. I might do some aparadh to them, right? We should first and foremost understand that Ganesha will be more pleased if you worship Lord Vishnu. Shiva will be more pleased because he himself is worshipping Lord Vishnu, right? That is what we will understand from this pastime. This devotee of Lord Shiva, right? Actually, I should not use the word devotee. Prabhupada clearly says that devotion cannot be expressed to anybody other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. Otherwise, what we do with the demigods is invariably 99%, right? Apart from the 1%, I'm going to tell you this pastime. 99% is like a deal. I am giving you this, you give this to me, right? In Chennai, I heard there is a Visa Ganesha, right? You go and put break a coconut in Ganesha. Poor Ganesha, it does not even get adequate coconuts, right? Being a devotee of the Lord, that you have to go and break a coconut and then he will arrange for your visa to go to United States. So like that, there are temples, right? There are proper temples, and people advise also, go there, break a coconut, all your desires will be fulfilled. So what is our consciousness even when worshipping the demigods? One is, we don't need to worship the demigods. When we worship the Supreme Lord, all of the demigods are automatically satisfied. Just like when you water the root of the tree, all the branches and the trunk and the branches and the leaves and the flowers and the fruits are automatically nourished. Yatha taror mula nishejanenam, right? Just like when you water the tree, all of the parts of the tree are nourished. Similarly, when you worship Lord Vishnu, all of the demigods are already satisfied. Yet, if we don't want to give up the worship of demigods because of our conditioning, because of our earlier samskaras, then let us listen to this pastime. There was one devotee of Lord Shiva who prayed to Lord Shiva, "Oh Lord Shiva, give me what you consider the best." This is the ideal worship of demigods. This is the ideal prayer to the demigods, right? Give me what you consider the best, right? And then what did Lord Shiva do? Lord Shiva directed this person to Sanatana Goswami. And then Sanatana Goswami had a touchstone, right? So he said, this man came and asked Sanatana Goswami, give me what is very valuable to you. Lord Shiva has sent me to you. And then what does he say? The most valuable thing is there outside, right? In the dustbin. Take that and go. And this man was like, he was very poor Brahmana. He looked at this touchstone. When you rub it, oh my God, so many gold coins are coming. Very happily he ran towards his home. Oh, I've got the best thing in the whole world. And then he's thinking, oh my God, if this is the best thing that this particular person had, then why did he put it in the dustbin? He came back and asked Sanatana Goswami, if this is your treasure, if this is the best treasure that you have, why have you put it in the dustbin? And then Sanatana Goswami says, I have something even better than this. But if you want this treasure, then what you should do, you should go and throw that in the ocean and come back. Then I will give you. And this man, fortunately, was very intelligent. Why? Because his prayer itself was intelligent, right? He asked Lord Shiva, what is best for me that you give me? And Lord Shiva guided him. And in this way, he threw that stone in the ocean. And then he came back to Sanatana Goswami and he got initiated in the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. In this way, he got the greatest treasure. Golokera Premadana Hari Nama Sankirtana. And in this way, he perfected his life. So, first best thing, we understand from this universal form aspect of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Person who can depict these various forms so as to attract us. Right, according to our level of surrender, according to our level of consciousness, Krishna wants us to understand that he is the Supreme Lord. And according to our level of consciousness, whether we want to worship the Supreme Lord as directed by Krishna, or we can worship any of the demigods. And then finally we concluded by saying, even when we want to worship the demigods, or I would say, even when we don't want to give up the worship of the demigods, right? Then what are we supposed to do? We are supposed to worship those demigods, asking them to give us Krishna Prem, asking them to give us faith in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yesterday someone was asking, I don't have faith in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we can pray to the demigods to give me faith in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Today is Ganesh Chaturthi. Those of you are celebrating. Pray to Lord Ganesha, give me faith. Give me faith in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is incarnated in this Kali Yuga to give us Krishna Prema. Unfortunately, we don't have faith in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So let us pray to the demigods. If you are not able to give up, if you have to conduct the worship of the demigods in our home for whatever reasons, because of our parents, because of our whatever may be the reason, right? We worship the demigods, but internally we pray to them. Oh, please give me a taste in chanting Hare Krishna Mantra. Let me understand that Service to Krishna is the ultimate. Devotional service to Krishna is the ultimate. Please give me the knowledge. Please help me understand, study Bhagavad Gita with a proper perspective. Let me surrender to a proper bona fide guru who would light the lamp of transcendental knowledge in my heart. Right? So that is what we need to pray, even to the demigods. So on this auspicious day of Vinayaka Chaturthi, we can all pray to Lord Ganesha. Right? Please, please let the ultimate truth, the ultimate knowledge be revealed in my heart. Let me continue to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Radha and Krishna, next 4 days, 20, 21, 22, 23. Let me make my heart an instrument where I can receive the mercy of Srimati Radharani, which is ever flowing, which is going to flow much more in the next 4 days. Srimati Radharani is appearing in this material world to give us love for Krishna, to give us opportunities to serve Krishna more and more. Make my heart pure and clean so that I can receive the mercy of Srimati Radharani. That can be our prayer to Lord Ganesha today. So with that, I would like to thank you all for your kind and patient hearing. Kindly forgive me for any mistakes in my understanding and in my communication of my limited understanding of these wonderful topics. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta koti Vaishnava vrinda ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Gurudev ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. So I'd like to also highlight this point which I missed. Between Nama and Pranama, Pranama is more important. Let us offer obeisances if our body permits. Let us offer obeisances millions of times to Ganesha, to our deities, Shri Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maiya, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai, Shri Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maiya, to all of our Shaligram Shilas, whoever deities we have at home. Let us offer obeisances and pray that may what is the knowledge that is there in our head not increase the false ego and that we are pulled down to the lowest level, but rather it increases the humility in our heart so that we can offer obeisances, we can submissively hear from a bona fide guru, and in this way we understand Radha Tattva, Krishna Tattva, and understand that the goal of life is devotional service. If we have the opportunity for devotional service and we're able to render it in an ahaituki apratihata way, there is nothing more to ask for. We simply need to ask that may I continue to be engaged in this process of devotional service life after life. Mama Janmani Janmani Shvare Bhavatad Bhakti Rahaituki Tvai. This can be our only prayer day in and day out. And this can continue even after we attain our what is that called, constitutional position, our Swarupa Siddhi. Even after we attain our Swarupa Siddhi, this can be our prayer. Mama Janmani Janmani Shvare Bhavatad Bhakti Rahaituki Tvai. Because that is the only constant. Everything else will change, but our rendering of devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead should be the only constant in our life. Everything else will change. So with that, we will end our today's Shrimad Bhagavatam session. Grantaraj Shrimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for yet another wonderful electrifying session. And repeating all the takeaway points of yesterday's session too, once again, and elaborating on them. Thank you so much, Mataji. If there are no more questions from the devotees, we can end the session. Any questions, devotees?
Mataji, Hare Krishna, one question, Mataji. Yes. In the beginning of the class, you said we hear Brahma realization, Paramatma, then Shama Sundar. In my opinion, I believe Shama Sundar is so attractive why I'm able to feel good and serve. But Paramatma is looking so too far. Brahman, you don't know how to realize Brahman, how to realize Paramatma. But Shama Sundar is looking so easy. But in the steps, you said, first is Brahman, then Paramatma, then Shama Sundar. So I don't understand this way of having, approaching our Shama Sundar realization.
Okay, so His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj gives an example. If you have a 200 rupee note, automatically 20 and 2 rupees are already covered there, right? So we don't endeavor for a Brahman realization or a Paramatma realization, and they are not necessarily prerequisites for understanding Bhagavan. Secondly, we are not interested in anybody's opinion, right? My opinion, your opinion, everybody else's opinion, we are not interested. We are interested only in the opinion of Krishna, which is delineated in the same way coming in the bona fide Guru Parampara, right? So we don't want to create any opinions for ourselves, right? Rather than creating an opinion, we only want to hear from Guru, Shastra and Sadhu and understand what is the real absolute truth, right? Absolute truth never has a second point, because absolute truth is absolute and there is only one absolute truth. So does that answer your question, Prabhu? You don't have to go through the Brahman and Paramatma realization to attain Bhagavan realization, right? Because Bhagavan realization is attained when we understand that Jivera Swarupa hai Krishnera Nityadas. With that understanding alone, we will be able to understand Bhagavan. Because in that understanding, we understand that I am a servant of the Lord. The Lord is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. My duty is to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? Who is the Shama Sundar Krishna. So that understanding will give us Bhagavan realization. So we do like and Paramatma realization and Brahman realization automatically follows. Like even in Isha Upanishad, right? Bhukti Mukti follows a devotee, but he is not interested, right? It is like Bhukti and Mukti are actually knocking the doorstep of a devotee, but a devotee has no time for Bhukti or Mukti, because a Bhakta is very busy serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A Bhakta knows only Bhakta, Bhakti and Bhagavan. So understanding of Bhagavan does not require the other two things, but the other two things will automatically follow the devotee. Is that okay, Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji, to some extent. But question is, when we realize that, what is the activity when we are into the Paramatma realization or in the Brahman realization? Shama Sundar realization, we see the form, we saw devotion, service is there. But Paramatma realization, what is the activity? How do we think of we are at the level of Paramatma realization or we are at the level of Brahman realization? How do we understand?
Yeah, right. So Brahman realization is merging with the effulgence, right? That is why it is said that there is no activity. There is no activity in the Brahman platform, because you are merging with the light, right? And that is an impersonal aspect of the Supreme Absolute Truth. That is why there is no activity. That is why there is a chance of falling down from there, because there is no activity. But as a soul, we are always engaged in activities. We cannot remain seated like this, meditate even for 5 minutes, because our body wants to act. Right? So that is the reason from Brahman, when there is no action point, right? Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na shochati na kankshati. There is no lamentation, there is no hankering. There is peace, and there is only peace. There is no bliss. And that is why they fall down, right? That is Brahman. Paramatma realization is understanding, yeah, Krishna is there in my heart. That is Sat and Chit. Right? The first Brahman is only Sat, eternal, right? I am eternal soul. I have merged with the Brahman, but I don't have anything to do. But we cannot remain like that. That is not the nature of the soul. The nature of the soul is continuously to engage in activities. So only there is Sat realization and Brahman platform. No activity. Second is Sat and Chit. That means I also have the knowledge. I am a minuscule, but the Lord who is there in the Paramatma, in my heart, he is the Supreme Brahman, whereas I am Brahman. That knowledge is there, but knowledge is no use until we put that knowledge into practice, right? Because we are seeking bliss, Ananda. That Ananda is not there even in Paramatma realization. We have only Sat and Chit realization. But Ananda, like you said, in Shama Sundara form realization, we serve the Lord with our senses, and that is why we experience bliss. So Sat realization is in Brahman, Sat and Chit in Paramatma, whereas Sat, Chit and Ananda that we are always looking for, always seeking bliss, that realization happens only in the Bhagavan realization of the Supreme Lord. Is it okay, Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji, very clear. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Sunita Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. In yesterday's class, Prabhuji said that there are two kinds of impersonalists, Brahmavadi and Mayavadi. So what is the destination of Brahmavadi, Mataji? Because for Kumaras, they were Brahmavadis, right, Mataji? So I just want to know the destination of Brahmavadis, because Mayavadis, Prabhu said that they will go to hell. Mayavadis will go to hell. So what is the destination of Brahmavadis, Mataji?
Okay, so Brahmavadis, their destination is Brahman. Right, but even Shukadeva Goswami and 4 Kumaras, they were having Brahman realization, but they had the fortune of smelling the tulasi leaves offered to Lord Vishnu when they came to Vaikuntha, right? When you come in contact with a devotee or a paraphernalia of the Lord, where worship of the Lord is done, then automatically some of them will have the opportunity to elevate themselves to Bhagavan realization. Some of them stick to Brahman realization, and that is why they fall down. And then they come to the earthly planets, and again, they have to get the seed of bhakti and then realize Bhagavan. But some are fortunate that even after attaining the Brahman realization, because they get into contact with some devotee, they are somehow they take up to this process of devotional service, and then they can elevate themselves directly from Brahman platform to Bhagavan realization. So either it is Brahman to upward or downward. That is a destination.
Yeah, Mataji, it is, but Brahma Jyoti, there is a chance of falling down, na Mataji, from the Brahma Jyoti.
There is every chance. You cannot.
But how can they manage? To go to Vaikunta, because they entered because Jaya Vijaya they stopped them from entering the Vaikunta, right? Na Mataji. So how did they go to Vaikunta?
See, it's not the end of the life, na. See, when you're still living, you can attain Brahman. You can think that Brahman is the supreme most. But you still have the opportunity because you have a body, isn't it? You are doing so many activities. So when you meet a devotee, the devotee may tell you about devotional service, and you are accepting that. That's what happened to them, right? So they had their bodies. They were so much siddhis, right? Because even Jaya Vijaya, who came as Kamsa, Shishupal, etc., they are so much devotees of the Lord that they could travel. Even Bhrigu Muni could go and find out who's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They could travel with their material body, so they could travel to Vaikunta and other planets. So in such a travel, when they went to Vaikunta, they saw the Lord, Tulasi being offered to the Lord, they smelled the Tulasi, and then they got elevated to the Bhagavan realization.
Okay, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji.
So that is why it is said that when we have a body, it is very, very, because without a material body, we will not be able to serve the Lord also. Whatever be our realization. That is why body is very important. That is why we have to take care of our body in such a way that the body facilitates us to perform devotional service.
And this Paramatma realized yogis, Mataji, where do they go, Mataji? Ashtanga yogis, like,
they just meditate. They meditate in Himalayas, and they meditate in, they also have a long lifetime. So Jana Loka, Tapo Loka, and all that. They continue to meditate on the form of the Lord. The form of the Lord that is there in the heart. But Prabhupada mentioned, we are not armchair philosophers. We are not sitting and just meditating on the Lord. We want to engage in active service. So they might be in various lokas, and then when they exhaust their credits, they will again come down.
Okay.
Because there is no bliss, like I said.
That means they are below the Brahma Jyoti. No, Mataji? Or above Brahma. They should be above, na?
Yeah, that's the second level of realization. So it will definitely be above.
But below the Vaikunta. Like, is it like that, Mataji? Is it like that?
Mataji, I am also not too clear about this. But it is definitely, because see, in Vaikuntha Loka also there is always Seva Bhav, right? Even there is always service to Lord Vishnu. So, I'm not, I don't want to speculate on this, but I know that, Paramatma realization is higher than Brahman realization, but it is below Bhagavan realization. So in Vaikuntha planets also there is service to Lord Vishnu. So maybe it will be lower than that. That is what is my understanding.
Okay, Mataji. Thank you.
All right, Hare Krishna. Okay, so who's this? Chandrika Mataji?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranama.
Hare Krishna, little one, Dandavat Pranama. What is your name? Your name is Chandrika.
Krishna.
Your name is Chandrika?
Naimisha.
Oh, okay. Oh, Naimisha. Yes, tell me.
I want to tell you one shloka. May I tell?
Yes, please.
6 jewels of Radharani. Chintamani pranamatam vrajanagareenam Chudamani kulamanir Vrishabhanu namnaha Yashyama kama varshanti manir nikunja Bhushamanir hridaya samputa sanmanirna.
Haribol, where is this? Where is this verse?
Nectar verses.
Radha Rasa Sudhanidhi.
Radha Rasa Sudhanidhi.
Haribol, wonderful. Haribol. Naimisha Mataji ki jai. Anant Koji Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanand.
Tell where is this shloka from? The number.
Radha.
You can post in the group, Mataji. You can post the shloka and the source in the group. All right. Hare Krishna. Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanand.
Shall I end the class, Mataji? Hare Krishna.
Yes. Thank you. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. Pranam to Guru.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Dandavat.